Citizens, welcome. It has been a busy and big week in the United States, and so we thought we would comment on it. There's also a lot of things happening still here in Canada. Welcome to the show.
Woohoo. It's a crazy week, actually.
It really has been.
The amount of stuff that's happening between Canada and U.S. Very cool to see the inauguration of President Donald Trump.
Yep.
It's always fun seeing such a long-standing tradition of a new leader coming in.
Yep.
So going to chat all through things.
There was a lot of weird stuff that happened during the inauguration, eh? Like lots of
what?
weird, like technical things and songs not working, and then Elon stuff, and then Mark Zuckerberg stuff, and like there was, I have a note of things that I want to quickly touch on, and if anyone watching saw other stuff,
favorite
too,
moments,
let us know, because there's a lot of stuff. Like I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into it quite yet.
All things inauguration, United States. We're going to talk about Danielle Smith and. The diplomacy that she has been
She's representing
doing.
us well, man.
She's acting like our prime minister right now. Even though the other premiers aren't very happy with her because they're not, quote unquote, working together.
But she got invited to the party that they wanted to be invited to.
Is that what it comes down to? High school jealousy?
I don't know.
They're at a party I want to go to. And then there's also a 25% tariffs, which did not come into effect on the first day, but Trump did state February 1st. Yeah. I got a video to show that as well. So I want to talk through what does that mean? What is the real issue of these 25% tariffs? Is our federal government doing a good job at even answering the question?
Yeah.
They keep saying, like, we'll get ahead of ourselves. Let's not go there yet. Let's start off with the inauguration. What are some of the favorite moments or things you saw?
Yeah, it's always interesting watching the two presidents kind of sitting beside and then eventually when they announced the new incumbent president stepping up, doing a speech, it's always funny because Trump, being Trump, does what Trump does. And he just begins to just crap on what Biden has been doing. And then the camera just shows Biden and you see Hillary and you see Bill and they're like, because he's talking about this is the worst state. And so I always just find that really funny. It's very entertaining to watch when you see the trade-off.
Trump's inauguration speech was funny. You could tell he had a lot of unfinished business. Yeah. It's like, who uses the executive orders we're going to jump onto on your inauguration speech? Yeah. But he's saying, this is what we're going to get done.
Didn't waste any time.
I'll say, personally, I actually thought it was quite inspiring. Mm-hmm. The reason being, especially one comment Trump said was, this is the return of American exceptionalism.
Yeah, the golden age of the U.S. begins now.
And I thought that is something that the United States has needed. I think that we can learn a lot from that in Canada, is to shoot for the stars, literally and figuratively. Him announcing, we're going to go to Mars, right? Yeah. Obviously, with Elon's been saying that for a couple of years now. On Joe Rogan, he said it last year. Within 5 years, we can get a man on Mars. But he is bringing up this idea of, we have done so much for the world. He drew upon a lot of interesting history of how a strong America, an exceptional America, has actually made the world a better place, which you can't go against that. But in terms of the inventions and the amount of intelligence that's come out of it, the amount of strength and money and all these type of things, he's wanting to get back to driving and pushing ahead and inspiring people, which I thought was quite a strong and positive approach to take on day one. But he also had the balls on the man, slamming the government that is sitting right beside you, the previous government, by saying, there's one comment he specifically said where he called out the people of North Carolina and others who had suffered from serious disasters or climate disasters. And he said, our government continues to shift money to other foreign nations, and we can't even take care of our own people.
Yeah, I just saw that actually.
Yeah, and
just now.
So it talks about the failures of it, and you know what, it was...
and I think he froze foreign aid, right?
I didn't hear that.
I think he froze foreign aid until we figure out these issues.
I'm sure.
So that's what I saw. Actually, as the intro was running here, I was flipping through my phone, looking at that, and so maybe we can look that up, or maybe Paul can find that right now. But I think it said he's freezing foreign aid until we solve these issues. Yeah. So regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, that's a good thing to solve a crisis in your own country. Can you imagine being one of those residents? Even what happened in the Palisades fire, did you hear what each person in the Palisades fire qualified for? What Biden announced?
No.
It's just a joke.
$6,000 or something?
No. One payment of $770.
Come on.
One payment.
Yeah.
What is that? You're better off to saying zero. You're better off to not even give that.
Totally.
It's just spit in the face, and so that's the and so this was kind of funny. I shouldn't be laughing because it's all. So I'm not laughing at the tragedy, but I'm laughing at people's response to that.
Yeah.
So when Biden came on and said, when he said we're going to give a one-time payment of $770 to every person.
My bad.
I already know where we're going with that.
I didn't know I was going through my volume. My ears already. Keep going.
I want your thoughts on this though. It's so funny. There was a petition started to change California's name to Ukraine so that they could qualify for the funding of Ukraine.
How many people signed for that?
I don't know. It was so funny. But I was like, the internet never fails, eh? Like it's
so good.
Immediately it was like, well, if we change our name to Ukraine, we'll get billions of dollars instead of one payment.
Alberta could do the same thing. Instead of having money flowing out all the time for the equalization payments, we just changed Ukraine and Trudeau's going to ship 40 billion or 40.
I was like, how funny is that, man? Like, just so quick. The internet just never fails that way. It's so good. Okay, let's see what that music was. Because I know already what it was.
This is just, I think this sums up Donald Trump's day right here. This is the image of being 78 with 5 children, stress-free, and being absolutely happy.
Yeah. This is yesterday?
Yep. Look at Melania.
What is he holding?
A sword.
A sword?
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
Oh my god.
There's that dance.
That's funny.
JD is just laughing.
He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just going to hang out here for a bit as this guy lives his best life.
That's funny.
So good.
Jeez.
So good.
That's hilarious. There was a few times where the YMCA was played, even the night before the inauguration. They had he was on stage with them. Hey,
he was.
And anyways, that was quite a party. It looked like over there. But there's a number of things I'd love to address as far as executive actions, things that stood out.
Okay.
Lots of stuff.
Let's go through them.
There's one that stood out to me where he signed immediately saying all federal employees return to work.
Yep.
I didn't realize how many federal employees were not.
Is it sub 10%, right?
Yeah, it was 9. The one report I saw was 9% of employees are working at federal offices. 9%. Like, what in the world? Like that. So that's crazy. That's one huge one. The Panama Canal. I don't know if that was an executive action. I know that was in his speech.
He stated it,
huge.
And I'm not sure, if it was an EO or anything like that. But him to state that, I'll just say that's number one,
massive.
Thinking outside the box a little bit. Like that's never been brought up for conversation. It's never been thought about before, but it's strategically, it's very strategic in what he's doing. It's not just we're going to reclaim because the U.S. did build the Panama Canal. He gave some stats about how many American lives were lost building it.
30-something thousand.
Yeah, over the years, and basically how China. I don't know the ins and outs of China operating it, but I know China is everywhere in the world. You look in Africa, you look in different continents and countries, especially where there's valuable when it comes to goods, minerals, oil and gas. They're obviously everywhere. They're a world power, but Trump sees that as an absolute strategic place of controlling the flow of goods through that's the major port in the world or the major canal in the world, right? So anyways, that's obviously a major reason he's jumping on that. So we'll see how that turns out. And also, you think of that, what he's talking about, Greenland, him messing around with Canada being 51st state, like he's talking about a lot of interesting...
It's very strategic. He's talking about strategic defense, strategic shipments, control for the United States. And so to control the Panama Canal is... I'm surprised no one else actually thought of that.
I don't think anyone else really can do that officially, right?
No, I mean previous presidents.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He thinks different. He doesn't think like a normal politician does.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it really, really does.
Like he thinks in the sense of acquiring and growth, and how do we establish and expand our kingdom, or how do we shore up our security? How do we shore up the world's security? Right. You obviously, and I think most people would agree with this. You want a strong America. A strong America helps with world security. Yep. You can look in the last 8 years or last 4 years, a weak America. We've had a lot of things break out. So he's moving that direction, which is interesting. Well, one thing that made me laugh, and I dug into it a little bit, was renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
I know. It's the most American thing ever.
So there's a little theory behind this is that I believe Biden put in I don't know the right terminology, put in some things, we'll say, that basically stops oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
That there's something restricting the current government, Donald Trump, from redoing it. So instead of saying we can't, yes, we'll abide by the fact we cannot drill in the Gulf of Mexico, but we're going to drill in the Gulf of America.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
So that's kind of what I was getting out of it after doing a bit of digging. So I'm wondering, is it just for American dominance? No, there's a lot of things. Sometimes it looks like Trump's just on the surface level, like, okay. But there's actually something there. A lot of oil and drilling. And he even said over and over again, we're going to drill, baby, drill. When he was president, U.S. became the #1 oil producer in the world. They weren't anymore, but now he wants to get back to it. So they're going to be, he wants to be energy dependent.
Yeah, for sure. And like even Greenland's prime minister responded to Trump. Did you see his response?
How recently?
He said about 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was. I can find out the exact date here, but it says the prime minister of Greenland officially made the statement saying Greenland's not for sale. That was like one of the big headlines that went around. But then later on responded and said, however, he and other officials, including Denmark's leaders, stated that Greenland was open to discussions and cooperation with the U.S. on mutual interests such as economic development and Arctic strategy, and essentially saying that he's open for discussion.
Yeah.
So very interesting. The other huge thing that happened 2 days ago, which was Sunday, I think it was Sunday, was Hamas and Israel was officially a ceasefire. And then Biden, did you see Biden's response to it?
No, what did he say?
So I'm very open to people's comments and thoughts here. Who do you think gets credit for it, Biden or Trump? Biden was at a press conference, and one of the reporters asked and said, Biden, do you take credit for the Hamas, not Hamas,
of the hostages being
released and the ceasefire? And then Biden's only response was, is this a joke? And then walked off. And and so then later on, he did a statement saying, and I found it funny because to me, I'm going, his deal was what, 13 or 14 months ago when he essentially called for it. 13 or 14 months ago. So over a year ago, he had some sort of call for it. And then he's claiming on Sunday that it all because of my thing 14 months ago, it all came to pass. And people are like, Trump's in office tomorrow. Like, you think this has to do with your deal 14 months ago? Like, there's no way they're connected. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear anyone else's thoughts and opinions on that.
No,
the timing
the
is
moment that Trump won the election in November, it's people started showing up and to pay homage to Donald Trump, to say, like, immediately Putin said, we're open to stopping this war. We need to figure out a solution. We want to. You have Hamas and Israel, the conflict starting to lessen, and obviously hostages were released. You've got all these things that start to happen because of
and it's less
Donald
about Trump himself and more about what he stands for and his no.
Well, he's a no BS approach.
No BS,
but the thing is, his word, people knows he means what he says.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know with the Canadian tariff, it's coming over the top because he wants certain things figured out, but he will still slap on those tariffs if we don't come to the table with what we need to do.
Yep.
So he definitely says what he means.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. People know there's going to be follow through, and they know that the United States has a backbone again.
Yeah.
So, and Trump's going to follow through.
Very interesting that he, and I personally think this is fantastic. The United States is going to take an official stance on male and female being two genders.
Yep.
That's not to discredit people who want to abide by a different name, but that's the official stance. I think it's getting back to reason. This is what science has been. I was
going to say not reason, but science, but yeah.
No, well,
but yeah,
reasonable.
You're right.
100%. I think it is reason.
They're
and going that direction. So that's an official stance they're doing. A bunch of others, like he signed just over and over and over again. You have a couple more there that you're thinking of?
Give me a second here. No, I don't have a few in front of me. I do have a few in front of me if I want to, but there's a few other things I want to talk about. But
yeah, just keep going.
The other thing I was going to say was there's a lot of controversy about Trump's hand not being on the Bible. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
So if you could queue up the clip if you've got it there, but there's and so there's lots of controversy on that. Tons of people saying, how dare he not put his hand on the Bible? Why wouldn't he? He's not a Christian. So up to people's comments. When you watch the ordeal go down, it was very clumsy. And the guy who swears them in is clumsy. He always has been clumsy. So if you watch and see previous things he's done, you can tell he's nervous. You can tell he stutters on his words. He rushes through it. And so he actually started before Melania walked up.
I saw that too.
So he started before, and she has the Bible in her hands. So
Melania does.
Yeah, Melania has the Bible. So she comes like this. And so he starts before even his kids, his family are even up there. So you can see. So if you have it, we'll watch it and I can comment on it. The whole thing was a little bit clumsy. So he's already started. You can repeat after me. She now is at his side. So he started before that. The family's still getting up. He should have waited a little bit.
The Bible's right there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's lots of controversy, the fact that his hand wasn't on it.
Let's go right to the beginning again so you can see here. So there's Melania coming up. Okay. Just got right into it.
Yeah, so a little clumsy on the start. I'd be very open to people's thoughts on that if they think maybe he still should have put his hand or reached, or maybe she should have asked his hand to come up. I don't know. But that was one of the major controversial ones. Carrie Underwood's song got a lot of traction. The fact that it failed.
You know what? Good.
She nailed it.
I was watching that live.
She knocked it out of the park.
She just killed it. I love. Like they waited a minute and someone was coming up and there's an angle where you can see her mouth the words. She goes, "I'll just sing. Let me just sing."
I have that too. Actually, you want to see that? It was pretty powerful because she's the perfect person for it. She's just professional off the charts,
and she can sing.
She can really sing. Yeah, she doesn't need no auto-tune at all. That's for sure.
No, she can sing.
Yeah. And so when this angle here is perfect that I got, I'll just get synced up here.
What a cool story about J.D. Vance though, hey? Born in the poorest part of the country, also to a drug addicted mother. I'm not sure. My wife was telling me this. When he was 13, he literally jumped out of a moving car to get away from his drug addicted mother. His mother was there at the inauguration last night watching her son now become the VP of the United States.
At 40.
He's 40.
40.
That's right. It's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? So this is the photo here, but this is the video.
I'll just sing.
You know the words, help me out here. Oh, beautiful for space, for amber waves of.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah, it really was. So she knocked out of the park. That would crush most people.
I got another great moment for you. Okay. It involves, this is going to make you laugh.
Oh, no. Is this Elon?
No. Theo Vaughn and Logan Paul. Did you see this?
I did see this, yeah. Let's go to Elon after that. So these are just some highlighted moments for you guys if you guys missed
Theo
anything.
Vaughn's sitting in his chair. This is called Make Chairs Great Again. I'm just going to turn it up first. This is Logan Paul, who's sitting right behind Theo Vaughn.
Oh, Logan.
It happened. I said it would. We gotta see here. We gotta see here. I got it on video.
Are you kidding?
The chair just broke.
Kamala's hair.
What did he say?
Kamala's hair or something. Look.
Chair.
Jeff Bezos.
Go back. I want to see it again.
Look.
Of course, it's these two guys, too.
It happened. I said it would. We gotta see here.
I said it would.
I got it on video.
Of course, it happened to Theo, too, eh? Of all people. That's funny, man.
That's so good, man.
That's hilarious. Did you see all the controversy around Elon and his speech and what he did at the end of his speech?
We should show that too.
Again, open to interpretation, I think, of what people are. This is the thing. It really depends on your what side of the aisle you're on. People who hate Elon are jumping all over this. People who love him are giving him sympathy and going, no. He said this and this and thus. So if you have the clip. The thing that I see here is that he is such a, what's the kindest way I could say it? He's just a nerd through and through to the highest level you can see, and I say that in the best way possible because, like, he's just a great dude that is just are so necessary and so brilliant and so excited, and so at the end of his speech, I think he said something like,
I got it here.
My heart goes out to you or something.
He said, my heart goes out to you.
My heart goes out to you. And then he does
So here's what people are calling a Nazi salute.
My heart goes out to you.
I actually never heard him say that. So,
So I want to show you something else here too.
is that a Nazi thing? So they're actually trying to correlate.
Look at all this.
Exactly.
If we're going to play the game, you play the game on all sides. It's like,
Interesting.
so there's all these clips coming up of other people doing similar things. Anyways, it's again, this is simply something being taken out of context to make someone look stupid and ridiculous. There's nothing there. He is not a Nazi.
And that's Nazi. Like I said, that's the thing I'm trying to say here is depending on what side of the aisle you're on, people are labeling it what they want, nailing it good or bad or whatever. But yeah, so he did it twice, and I'm not even going to do it because people are going to freeze frame me. But he goes like he goes from his heart clearly. But that's my opinion on that, which is very, very, very interesting.
So he is inaugurated. President Trump is officially in. He is beginning. If we thought we saw something interesting in his first 4 years, well, these next 4 will be nothing short of entertaining, but also extremely interesting. And I think you'll see a lot of change. You're already sensing a pendulum swing in the world. Yeah. I think us as Canadians and us as our Canadian leaders can learn a lot from what is happening in the States right now of getting back to common sense of basics, like basics, like not spending more than you bring in, trying to make your own nation dependent or independent and make it, for example, Canada, let's become energy independent. We produce, but we don't refine. We don't even have east to west corridor that we can help each other. Let's go through the States and come back up through Ontario. Totally. We aren't selling to people. We're actually declining business deals with different nations who want our natural gas. That's what our federal government has been doing. So the idea of Trump is saying, let's make America great. Let's make it exceptional. I completely believe Canada can be exceptional as well. We have the makings, we have the markers, we have the resources that we need, and the people. Because how many amazing people leave Canada for a brighter future somewhere else? It happens all the time.
And that's what I have here. I want to throw to Danielle Smith, because a lot of people were criticizing her going down there, saying that she's vying for a position if Trump decides to take over Canada, that she's trying to get in his good books, et cetera, et cetera. If you watch this, she's arguing for Canada first. And she's arguing for logical, reasonable arguments. She's doing a great job.
Dominic LeBlanc this morning, and we were talking about the First Minister's meeting, and he said, we got a grade of 12 out of 13, which is like an A+ grade, but it's not perfect. Presumably Alberta was the grade that they didn't quite get. And then you have Premier Ford saying that it left him with the impression that maybe you weren't putting Canada first, you're putting Alberta first. What do you say to that?
Well, I can tell you I would never go out publicly and say we should stop selling car parts as a way of making a point to the Americans and hurt Ontario.
And I just want to point out there, what she's referring to is they're talking about a speech that Doug Ford gave. And Ford openly made quite leaping responses in what Alberta should do with its oil. And she actually had another response to that. And it was a pretty brilliant response where she talks about how Doug should kind of stay in his lane and not discuss what another province does, but let's pretend that I did what Doug suggested.
Yeah.
She goes, if I did that, we actually supply Ontario oil through the U.S. It goes, our pipeline comes down, drops through to the U.S., and eventually heads out east and goes up to Ontario. So she goes, let's pretend I did what Doug said. He should be very careful with what he says because we'd be cutting off all of Ontario. And she goes on to explain that, which I was like, yeah, and that's the difference between a very strategic and analytical premier who understands very clearly what she's saying.
She's very diplomatic too.
Very diplomatic. Yeah. And so then she's saying, and why is he threatening my resources? And that's what she means here.
Totally.
I would not threaten his. They're very big in auto manufacturing, and I wouldn't. So I want to hit play here, but that's what she's alluding to.
Never go out and say we should stop selling aluminum to Americans as a way to make a point to hurt Quebec. And it hurt me that they felt that they could make that same argument that Alberta should sacrifice our interests in order to try to advance some kind of trade war. I take a different approach. Let's stop fighting with each other. Let's maybe try to remove some of the internal trade barriers. Maybe my fellow premiers can stop blocking pipelines when we propose them to either the west or east coast. And maybe this should be a moment of reckoning for us as a country, that part of the reason all of us look north-south is because...
There you go.
You know what? I think a lot of Canadians owe Premier Smith a giant thank you.
Yeah.
I think she is the only, I know she's the only one in Canada right now that is a federal or a political leader in Canada that's actually been down with the president himself, has actually been down with ambassadors, has been meeting with governors. She has been doing, what's that book that we love? How to Make Friends and Influence People.
How to Win Friends and
How to
Influence People.
Win Friends and
Dale
Influence
Carnegie.
People. That's what she is doing.
Yeah.
She is being diplomatic. She is actually going out of her way because her job as Premier of Alberta is to make the best available economy and options for Alberta. But she's still now working on behalf of Canada. Our own federal politicians aren't even doing this. They are going on CBC trying to take cheap shots over at this whole thing. And they keep saying the same phrase over and over again. Have you noticed? Everything's on the table. What's on the table?
Yeah.
Give us something specific. Give us something tangible. You haven't shown 1 ounce that there's a plan. Justin Trudeau, I think today or yesterday, said we have put $1 billion. We are putting $1 billion into border security, but there's no like actual plan. There's nothing there, and it's
what.
so. And then you've got our foreign affairs minister Melanie Joly, when she goes up, does not provide any confidence whatsoever that we're actually doing something to make this relationship good. Like Trump is very serious. 25% tariffs because what does he want? He wants border security. He wants to figure out what is going on. There's obviously a couple other minor things, but that's the biggest thing. He's looking for security for the United States. And Canada has been a giant sieve this whole time. And maybe we haven't really noticed of it. And I honestly believe that you look at Premier Smith and what she's doing. She's focused on direct conversations down there with people. She's with the president, closest advisors. She's shaking hands. She's actually making, and I think you can actually credit her single-handedly for us not having 25% tariffs right now. Delayed, yes, like you said, till February 1st. We should show that video in a second. But that at least gives us a little time to make a case as to why you shouldn't do it. And I think she's the only one making up an actual case.
Yeah.
Like Doug Ford and what he's stating and blaming Smith for not working together with all the premiers. It's like you guys are trying to play tough guy and you have nothing to be tough about.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Play tough guy when you've got something that you can do, but you're bluffing. And the thing is, you're bluffing with your cards exposed.
Yes, fully.
That's what they're doing right now. Like, don't try to bluff when we know exactly the cards that you hold. Yeah. And that's what President Trump, he sees. So I think Danielle Smith is the one who's actually acting in Canada's best interest right now.
She absolutely is. She's doing what our prime minister should be doing. And it's quite unfortunate that I don't even think Justin Trudeau got an invite from what I hear. I'm not sure if that's actually factually true or not, but she's doing what our prime minister is doing, and she's representing Canada in an incredible way. And thank God that she is. We need our country represented, especially in a time like this. We're facing who knows what these tariffs would do come February 1st.
And you know what, though? Like, there's also a leadership vacuum in our country. And when there's a vacuum, it's naturally going to get filled by something. And Danielle Smith is filling that natural void that we have in terms of leadership, because our perceived leaders, they aren't leading. They aren't taking the bull by the horns and doing, like, it actually doesn't even make sense. Like, I feel like what do you think the U.S. thinks when they know that? Think of the ambassadors, the diplomats, you think of governors, and you think of president and his team. When they see Canada, they are having this giant economic challenge on their doorstep. And we are sitting in this thing called prorogue of Parliament, where because one of the parties needs to have an internal election. So we're almost just putting off all of the important issues to the side for now. Like, it just feels like, what does that make them think of how we operate up here? I don't think it gives confidence to that as well. That's not a confidence building piece. So interesting to see. You showed that one video I was going to show. I think it's worth, is this a different one? Yeah, here's another one of Danielle Smith, just so you guys can
I'd love to hear that. And then I want to kind of comment on a few things that's in the state of Canada before we run out of time here that people need to know, need to be aware of.
Is this what you showed me?
Yeah.
No, you just showed me that same clip. It was a different angle. Cool. Okay. Here's President Trump with Canada.
There's actually an executive order designating the cartels and other
wrong one. This is cool to talk about too.
Terrorist organizations.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
People have wanted to do this for years,
Why have they not?
I don't know.
so they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right.
I would also add to that, when he said Mexico, I would also add to that Canada. Canada has Mexican cartels in operation. You look in Vancouver and Surrey, and you look in different parts of Ontario. That is an actual legitimate issue. Brampton, Ontario we know of this. So we are now Canada housing terrorist organizations. So this is a whole security thing that Trump is doing strategically. It's not randomly, I'm just going to do this. There's an actual thought going through all of these things. So
yeah, for sure. No, it's pretty wild. And the thing is and this is what I wanted to address here, is that there's reports of Kingston, Ontario. Have you seen this? So an actual state of emergency here in our home of Canada, and I'll read the official report. It says, as of January 21st, 2025, the city of Kingston has declared food insecurity a local emergency. On January 14, 2025, the city council unanimously passed a motion highlighting the approximately 1 in 3 households in Kingston faces inadequate or insecure access to food due to financial constraints. That's in the crazy, world? Man. Like
1 in 3.
1 in 3 homes.
Well, we've been seeing a record amount of people that need to go to food banks.
It's so unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like, that is so unacceptable.
In a country that can be as prosperous as we should be. We have, as I said, we have the basics that we need. What we haven't had is good leadership. We've had horrendous leadership. And I really hope that someone, if Pierre Poilievre does win the election, that he can actually act like he is speaking and help bring back common sense to how we handle our nation, because that's what it comes down to. Is you want to have good security. Yes, we that needs to get cleaned up, so that will impact our economics. But we need to have good basic economics. We're looking at trying to help. It's the whole plane analogy. Is if you're sitting down with a child and then you need to get an oxygen mask on, you need to get yours on first before you get your child's on, because otherwise you pass out, you can't help anybody. Canada has been trying to put oxygen masks on all these other nations, and we're not putting an oxygen mask on ourselves. We're dying while Trudeau's focused on this world globalist type of idea of trying to help everyone out. Climate change, all of this BS that ultimately has been hurting us.
Even the water crisis that's up north in a bunch of the First Nations locations where there's undrinkable water still. Like water in a first world country of Canada. Yeah. And these things can be solved. They can be solved overnight with action, with plans, with finances. Even for example, even the fact that Trump is talking about pausing foreign aid to assist its own country's emergencies is like, that's so refreshing to hear. Imagine if the Ukraine money we sent was in Canada. Brought here to say, this is an emergency we're solving it this month. And we just dump our resources into that and ask for help and figure it out. It just feels like Canada's not being put first, and that's sickening. Like, it's really sickening.
Well, this is the problem with our leaders, and it goes also to the other political party leaders of Jagmeet Singh and others, is that they will say they believe and love Canada, but their actions completely contradict what they are. Like, there's a video that Singh put out. He will always take an opportunity to try to get in the political limelight. The guy's just addicted to it. But here's a video on President Trump's inauguration day.
Trump will be inaugurated as president, and it means his threats of tariffs against Canada become even more real.
Thank you for letting us know.
Place my parents chose to immigrate to before I was born. My mom came because her sister told her that this country was a great place to raise a family and to build a life, particularly for women. And my dad came because he wanted to be a physician in a Canadian healthcare system. I love this country, and I want to defend Canadian jobs and stop prices from raising even higher than they already are.
You could have for the last 2.5 years.
But Trump's tariffs don't just threaten Canadian workers or Canadian jobs, they also threaten American workers. So let's not let Donald Trump divide us. Let's fight back
pause it 1 second.
to defend workers.
Let's fight back.
Let's work with our allies in the United States to defend workers and to stop prices from rising even higher.
Okay, so much there. Like that's the same type of word salad crap.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little blunt here.
Borderline gaslighting.
That's been said by all of our leaders, except for probably Premier Smith, using stuff like, let's fight back. It's all on the table. Like there's no tangible,
build back better.
There's no tangible, practical plan. Nice little story. And about his family and that should be the dream, where families can want to come to Canada, get into here legally and thrive in economy. But guess what? Immigrants are now leaving Canada. And this guy says, I want to do this. No, you can do it. You actually should be doing it. I want you to stop talking and do it. Like there's so many things. You didn't allow the Northern Gateway and Energy East pipelines to proceed. You didn't give any green light on LNG project. All of these things that actually could have helped benefit Canadians. He actually opposed all of these things. So the guy just that's the hypocrisy within our leadership. It's like almost just need a clean house, man.
Yeah.
And get some proper common sense, non-political guys who know how to build something. These guys haven't built anything in their life. Let's get people who know how to build and to lead.
What you just said there is such a good point. These guys have never built anything.
No, they haven't.
Meaning they've never hired or fired or dealt with finances and balancing of books and income and expenses and you name it, like buildings and lands and property and taxes and leveraging and fundraising. Like they've never done any of that.
Yeah.
And so they have no clue even like it makes me wonder their basic understanding of the economy and how to run it.
Well, it's not there.
It seems like it's not because there's so much virtue signaling and so little action.
Well,
and that's what I think when I watch executive orders be signed like that. And I know executive orders aren't the Bible and that they can be courts can stop them, et cetera, but it's action. It's actually
intention
doing
and
something,
action.
Of
exactly.
course. And it's finding a problem and going, enough. This has to stop. We need change. And that's the part I love. It's so refreshing because it's like Trump's holding up to the promises he made. Whether you agree with the promises or not, sure, whatever. But he's saying, I'm going to do it, and he's doing it. And that's what we need some more in Canada.
Well, what do you get across with all of Trump's executive orders? He's painting a vision of where America needs to go.
Yeah.
And people are getting onto that. People are becoming bullish about that when it comes to America, is that they're going to produce more oil than ever. They're going to be energy independent. They're going to be focusing on their border security. They're going to be focusing on their citizens and helping them thrive. Like that is what we are going to be the dawn of a new age here. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to be exceptional. Like he's elevating because he has a vision of going forward. Right. And that's something that real leaders do. Yeah. Is they inspire and they bring people around them and then we all work together to move forward.
They do real action.
We don't just say, because these guys, they aren't leaders. They're actually the opposite of leaders. Yeah. There's guys who generally are just they care about themselves and their own progress. And whether they're mixing with some weird ideologies of globalist ideas and those type of things, you know what? The proof is in the pudding. It didn't work. Canada is hurting. Yep. We are facing multiple threats on multiple fronts. We could be in a lot better of a position. We need the right leadership in place. And you know what? I'm not convinced that we have the right leaders in place or potentially next year. I really hope they can come through. Right now, it's all words. But Canadians need to wake up and start getting a bit more idea of who are the people that we are putting in place to make these decisions on our behalf. Because that's what we allow them to do when we vote for them. Yep. You can speak for me. That's what we do.
Yep, for sure. And something, we're almost out of time here, and I want to address this here, is on January 7th, the JCCF, so the Justice Center of Constitutional Freedoms,
that's right,
filed a federal lawsuit against the proroguing of government.
Okay.
And so it was actually officially accepted and expedited, which is a big deal. So they're saying that it's actually, Justin Trudeau's decision to prorogue Parliament until March 24th, the lawsuit contends that the prorogation is incorrect, unreasonable, or both, asserting that it serves the interests of the Liberal Party of Canada rather than furthering the parliamentary business of the government affairs. The plaintiffs argue that the prorogation hinders Parliament's ability to address pressing issues, such as the anticipated 25% tariffs on Canada's goods announced by the U.S. President President Trump. They claim that the prorogation frustrates Parliament constitutional functions without reasonable justification. So this is a big deal, the fact that it got expedited. So on January 18th, 2025, Chief Justice Paul S. Crampton of the federal court granted an expedited hearing for the case, recognizing the public interest is resolving the matter promptly. The court acknowledged that a faster resolution could enable Parliament to address the urgent concerns, including the U.S. Tariffs. Yeah. So this could be pretty big. Legal experts say that note that the lawsuit raises unprecedented questions about the limits of the Prime Minister's power to prorogue Parliament. While the other outcomes remain uncertain, the case seeks to clarify the extent of executive authority in this type of context.
Well, clearly it was a move to put the Liberal Party before Canadians.
For sure.
Clearly it was a move to try to get and figure out your house so that you can continue to be in power and do the best you can in the next election. It was not putting Canadians first. So I pray that goes through. I pray that there's actually something that happens where we can get back. And I'm a firm believer we need to have an election called right away so that we can actually get somebody in the driver's seat that Canadians want.
Yeah.
If Canadians vote different, great. But Canadians should have a chance to speak again.
Yeah, for sure. We need that. We need leadership. We need change, and we need to get strong against what's in front of us right now.
Yeah.
We have a weak stance, if any stance at all, and I think our only stance is what Premier Smith is doing, and that's the powers of a premier are extremely limited, but at least she's doing something.
You know what? All the power to her.
Yeah.
I'm supporting what she's doing right now. She is putting the best foot forward for Alberta and for Canada.
Yeah.
Better than everyone else right now.
Yeah.
So keep rocking.
Refreshing. Yeah, we need it.
All right. Is that it for today?
Citizens, I want to do a live soon. I want to do a live soon with people. I want to interact with people, debate, talk through things. There's so much happening. I think we should do one shortly. So let's get that on the books.
Hey, we have an announcement we should make, by the way. It's about merit.
Yeah, huge.
Citizens. So just so you guys know, Dr. Phil launched a network here in Canada called Merit TV, which actually Jeremy and I, we've been doing a lot of work to partner with Dr. Phil of the States with Merit TV Canada. Be watching for that on Rogers and Shaw. Well, Shaw's no longer around, but it's Rogers now East West. It launched on Rogers East on Tuesday and is launching on Rogers West on the 28th. And TELUS and all these other guys are going to be following. It's on Bell already. The reason why we're stating that is because Citizen is actually on that channel. So you can be watching it too if you want to have it on TV. I know you guys watch us on YouTube, which is great, but it is on there as well. So we got a lot of exciting things ahead of us in terms of what we're working towards. That's just what I wanted to say.
It's going to be huge.
Show goes on.
Make sure you watch it. Show goes on. See you guys. Thanks for joining us.
See y'all later.
Oh, I just did it.
What'd you do?
I did it. What Elon did.